Yeah, ready to get going. I think we're certainly excited to get started. I don't know if we're 100% ready, but I don't know if it matters. It's going to happen anyways. I do think this team is as eager as any team that I've coached to get out and play somebody else. Our health is in a relatively good place, and I think that from a leadership standpoint, from a position player standpoint, on the mound standpoint, we think the roles have pretty much been solidified, so we're ready to go play somebody else.
What was kind of time this for you heading to the offseason after last season? How do you feel like you maybe addressed that throughout the offseason?
Competition is the number one thing we had to fix. We didn't feel like our depth, that we had enough competition last year, really, in anything that we did. We were kind of stuck with what we were. And that not to say that was bad, but we just didn't feel like we had enough competition. We couldn't push guys. That was the first thing that was addressed literally after the last pitch was thrown last year, and that was the first thing that was said in the first team meeting this year was that we had created much more depth. We had created much more competition at our positions, and I have seen that. We've grown through that, that's for sure.
Coach, I asked Ben if it's kind of, like a kid at Christmas at this point when you're getting so close to opening day, plus the chance to open at a place like Coastal, that has such a, good history. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you feel the same way as a coach, just kind of chomping at the bit to get going?
Yeah, it's opening days. You feel the same. I think every year it is like being in Christmas. It's nerves, excitement, anxiety, everything, and so, but it's fun to get down. We're going to play 3 really good teams. One thing that, as I look at the schedule and I went through the schedule the early half, the thing that really stands out to me about our early schedule is we play some, in my opinion, some really, really well-coached teams. They will be well prepared. They may not be the biggest names on a big Power 5 names or anything like that, but we play some teams that are really, really well coached early on here, and that has me. That's the thing that I'm most concerned in our scouts right now.
Is your interest in competition, did that kind of lead you to go the JUCO route maybe more than you have in the past?
Yeah, we just kind of felt like we had to increase. At every position, we had to bring in more depth. We had to bring in more guys who would give us more versatility in our lineup. We had to have more options, and I feel like we fixed it. I think when you just look at it, and I think there's no better example than our basketball program right now. When you don't have competition, it is really, really tough to keep guys accountable. And you can say things all you want, but if they get to keep going back into the lineup every night just because you don't have enough depth, it's hard to keep guys accountable for everything. And so that's one thing we were able to do from the get-go. We separated teams very, very quickly this year. I kind of made a point of where I felt like you were on the depth chart right out of the get-go, and if you wanted to change it, then you had the opportunity to do that, but it was going to be changed through competition.
Do you feel like that's been received pretty well?
Yeah, I do. And not only that, I think it's made us stronger. This team, I would tell you, that is as good as any team I've ever coached with their capacity to work and their enjoyment of the work. They love coming to the ballpark together because they know the guy beside them is going to push them to be better. It doesn't mean other teams I've coached didn't work hard. It just means that this team so far has had the greatest capacity for workload of any team that I've had. And I think they kind of had the same mindset going into it. They knew if I don't do the work, the guy behind me will.
Strength of our team is always going to be on the mound. Let's talk about
you hope.
There and the talent.
Yeah, you hope. Really, that's the one position that I feel like if we just do what we did last year, I feel good enough about it. Now I expect and I plan on those guys have gotten better. It's funny. We kind of start at the back end. We have an All-American closer in Mac McCarty. We have Ben Dumm, who's been as reliable as any pitcher that I've ever coached. He does a great job out of the bullpen for us. And then you sprinkle in what Connor Gillespie and Sam Ryan, how they kind of emerged last year onto the scene. Jack Alkire kind of had a bust-out year for us last year, and then we got some new guys into the mix as well. And Devin Dunn's a guy I'm really excited to see, a sophomore who didn't have a lot of time last year. He's got a fastball that plays. Left-handed fastball plays in the low 90s. I'm excited to see junior college transfer Justin Sorokowski. He's a local guy who went down to Florida State and came back. He's transferred back. He's going to have an impact right away. And then we have a crop of 3 or 4 really talented freshmen, So when you add all that core in there and what guys did last year, we're anticipating to start at least to be able to, our game should start on the mound for us.
You had a lot of younger guys in your lineup, sophomores, who play well. What leads have you seen in their maturity on top of that competition that you talked about?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is we needed to be more mature. Last year we were a younger team, and we only have one senior position player this year right now. Well, two, I should say two. Sometimes guys, yes, you need to improve on your swing. Yes, take more ground balls. Sometimes you just need to grow up. Sometimes you just need to go out and play more and deal with what the game brings you. Because the game does beat you down a lot. And it gives you some great moments, but it can beat you up. And as a group last year, we weren't good enough at overcoming that. And so, yes, I think just some of those guys going from being younger sophomores to now upperclassmen, they've had 2 seasons under their belt. They've had 2 seasons of summer ball. You hope, and this is a sport that takes repetition. It takes 600 at-bats for you to understand what college pitching's about. It takes you to throw 100 and some innings till you figure out how to get a college hitter out. So just being able to do that, getting those reps, and just being more mature about our work, I think is one big jump that I'm excited to see if we've made. To be honest with you, that's where my biggest question mark will come.
Going back to the pitching aspect, you mentioned obviously great talent there, guys with established roles, but you've seen change over the game over the years in terms of some starters maybe not going through a third time in the lineup, a closer maybe coming in a little bit earlier. Where do you kind of fall in between those?
I'm not going to give my trade secrets away right now, but I think if anyone would notice how we pitched last year, we use the entire core. We'll use about 9 to 10 guys, and we ask our guys to not have to go out and go 9 innings. We ask them to go out and be really, really good a time and a half through the lineup. If we can keep our guys, our pitching coach, Mike McCray, does a great job at evaluating when those guys need to come out. We don't ask them to hold anything back. We believe that if we can put guys into positions to be successful as opposed to asking them to extend themselves. College baseball games are lost in the 1st, in the 5th, or 6th inning. And so you need to prepare yourself to have your best bullets going at that point, and that's where we really tried to excel. And when you have the good bullpen in McCarty and Dumb on the back end, you can shorten that game to 6 or 7 innings pretty quickly. So I think we're foolish if we're asking a guy to go out there and pitch number 80 and gas it out as opposed to putting someone fresh in there. So there are times where we may extend a guy, but I have total confidence in our depth that I don't think we're going to need to all that often.
How's your leadership maybe shaping up? Maybe guys like Zach kind of leading the way there.
Yeah, that's not been an issue. Like I said, this group's kind of I can't really sit there and tell you that one guy has stepped up more than another guy. They just all kind of been leaders. They've all kind of just taken care of their own business. They've all, Zach's been great. He's playing his best baseball that I've seen him play. And I mean, he is an extremely talented shortstop. When I think back, our last 2 shortstops have moved on to professional baseball, and I think he is just as good as either of the 2 of them. He has done phenomenal. I just think everyone's a little bit more comfortable. Everybody understands that we all have the same goal. We weren't happy with the taste in our mouth as we left the ballpark last year up at George Washington, and so the leadership has been fun. That hasn't been an issue. I think the culture more than the leadership has been what has shocked me. They've done a really great job because we've had so many new guys, of just buying into the fact that these guys are here to make us better, and that's been the biggest thing for me.
What are your early impressions just around the league? Obviously, St. Louis coming off the win in the title, and just what you're seeing.
The league gets better every year. Since we've been in the league, I really feel like it's gotten better every league from a commitment standpoint. From the universities to the talent level that's coming into it. It's much. I've always said this, the league is much better than what its RPI says it is. I really feel like any of the top 6 or 7 teams on any year could win it. I think we went into the tournament last year as a 6th seed, and I think at that time we had the most wins in the league at 34. Going into the regular season. Us in St. Louis. So St. Louis is going to be very, very good again. I mean, that program's just established. And so I think George Mason, got very good at the end of last year. They got hot. They have probably the best position player in the league and maybe the best starting pitcher in the league. Davidson over the last 3 years has obviously established themselves as a phenomenal program. I think Fordham has a lot returning off a good team last year. So you're looking at Fordham, George Mason, SLU, VCU, Davidson, and GW all won 30 games last year. I mean, that's not easy to do in any league, to have that many type of wins. So, and then, again, we didn't play a lot of people, so I don't really know what St. Joe's has coming back. But if they're older, they're going to be good. They do a great job up there. LaSalle has a new coach. Dayton has a new coach. I just think the league is just, you better be ready to play every night because there are no gimmies.
You guys are getting ready to put in the player development center across the street. What would that add to the program, having a resource like that? Yeah,
that's something that, that's going to be, to see this happen, and I scratch my head every day as I walk by, just how excited I am and humbled I am to have that type of contribution to our program. I just think the biggest thing for us is it's going to change the day-to-day life of our players, just from the ability level to keep them concentrated in one spot. The development won't be any different. Our current indoor facility at Franklin Street Gym is fantastic from a training standpoint. But the difference of this is it's going to be attached to their locker room, which is a few hundred yards away from their dormitory, which is 100 yards away from their strength and conditioning center, which is 100 yards away from their study hall. Just their day-to-day life is going to be so much easier. Their experience is going to be so much better. And then, coming with it is the bells and whistles of technology and all those things. So from that standpoint, it's really humbling. It's like I said, I pinch myself to even think about it, that we would have such an opportunity to put in such a facility here. But when you just look around this quad now, between the basketball development center, the weight room, this venue, the Siegel Center, what else? You have one of the longest sellout streaks in the country, probably one of the greatest home court advantages in the Siegel Center. I would argue that the basketball development center is as good as anywhere in the country. So I have great confidence that baseball facility that's getting built is going to be as good as anywhere in the country as well, because that's just how Ed McLaughlin and Tim Lampy and our administration do things around here. So I'm thrilled, to say the least.